Why and what is UnCurated Conversations? The why is my fascination with conversation, my fascination with people, my fascination with finding out who are you? Where do you come from? Why did you make that decision? And I think stories are important. Our society is built on stories, and it's within those stories where we find resilience and hope. And my goal is that we can find that resilience and hope in each of the guests that I invite over and we have a conversation with. And for me, that is why I am fascinated by not only people, but by stories and conversations. And what is UnCurated Conversations? UnCurated Conversations is a platform hosted by me, Mlamli Mayosi, where I'm going to be inviting guests to have a conversation with me over a coffee. And these guests might be a homeless person, someone I don't know. Could be a friend of mine, someone I know very well. Or it could be someone I see from far and I think that they have an interesting story and I would like to know more. What I do know is that we're going to have difficult conversations. We're going to have fun conversations. And through those type of conversations, hopefully you can find something that resonates with you within my guest, and hopefully it will be of benefit to you and me. So join me on UnCurated Conversations with me as your host, Mlamli Charles Mayosi. Prior to this conversation, Jared and I had never met before. And I was waiting for someone who I had an appointment with, and that person didn't pitch up. And Jared just happened to be at the same place I was at. And I just said, "How's it, Put?" And 2 hours later, here we found ourselves. So I'm looking forward to this conversation and to see where it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, Jared Kent. Welcome to Jared Kent's full episode. Wow, what a journey with Jared growing up in KZN and immigrating with his parents to the UK. In the UK, he goes through a very difficult teenage childhood experience there, culminating in him ending up in foster care. And then when he was old enough to leave foster care, he got caught up in crime and in illegal activities within the UK, which landed him in jail. He also ends up in Dubai, where he also gets locked up in police cells. And also he gets back to South Africa, ends up in a drug rehab facility, and he takes his first hit of Mandrax in that drug hab facility. The journey ends up in America, where he gets locked up in the jail and gets deported from America back to South Africa, and the journey continues. I'll leave the rest to Jared to tell it himself. Jared Kent.
You know, Port Shepstone, I'm very fond of Port Shepstone.
Are you?
Yeah, because my mom was born in Bizana.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's just on the road from where my mom stays.
Yeah.
In Port Edward, yeah.
I'm thinking Port Edward.
Port Edward, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's close, yeah.
It's right. Because when growing up, we used to go to Mzamba and the casino.
Crazy, yeah, Wild Coast.
Yeah. So that whole strip from Bizana to Port Edward to Port Shepstone, Margate.
Yeah. Wild Coast.
Yeah. So I spent.
It's beautiful there. Yeah. So my mom actually retired. Well, she bought an apartment there.
So you say your mom bought a flat?
Yeah, it's like a holiday resort, like in a nature reserve there.
Okay.
And she was living in Dubai at the time when they bought it, so they were just, every once a year going there.
Okay.
But when they retired, they moved down there permanently.
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was strange for me going there.
Is it?
Yeah, because I went there when I was younger.
Okay.
When I was sort of small, and we go to the casino and and go to San Namir and all this, and then going there like now as an adult, like 20-something years later.
Yeah.
And everybody's grown up there, and they all know each other.
Right.
It was quite daunting.
Okay.
New guy in town, and it's like all eyes on me,
Is it?
And it was like the last thing.
But then where did you grow up then?
Well, actually, I grew up until I was 11 in Durban.
Okay.
And then my dad, we immigrated to the UK.
Oh, okay.
And then I did about 9 years there in the UK. Yeah.
Okay. So you went to school in Durban?
Yeah.
Which school?
Westville.
Okay. That's a rugby school also?
It's a very good rugby school,
green,
yes.
Is it green rugby jerseys?
Yeah. Westville, Kearsney, Glenwood are good.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but Westville and Maritzburg College.
And did you dual rugby?
I did. I played fullback, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
but cricket was more my...
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I was a better cricket player.
Provincial colours or?
In the UK, I played for Surrey, yeah, so it would be provincial, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Up until I was about 16, yeah.
Okay. So you were quite a sportsman.
Sports-orientated, tennis, swimming, cricket, rugby. I mean, everything I was competitive at. Pool,
right.
Everything, I love it,
Even
badminton.
Academic side?
Yeah, I mean, maths wasn't my forte, but I excelled in like geography, history, natural science, English lit, English language. What else? Science is not. I passed, but I was terrible at French. I was useless.
You guys did French?
Yeah, with the option between German, Spanish, or French.
Okay.
I went for French, probably because the teacher was the best looking at the time, and I don't know what was going on.
And then at the time, did you have any siblings or?
No, I'm only child.
Only child. Okay. So all eyes were on you.
Yeah, and by that time, my parents were just about to get divorced.
What age are you now?
Now.
No.
Then.
Then, yeah, when they were about to get divorced.
I think I was almost 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just trying to work out my timeline now.
Yeah.
10, 12. Yeah, I was 13.
13. Okay.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, sorry. They were having a bit of difficulty, but I didn't really see it, until my mom left.
Okay. So you stayed with your dad?
With my dad, yeah.
Okay.
My mom. It was actually it was quite hectic. It was a cricket award ceremony evening, and I knew my mom was struggling adapting from South African life to a UK life, in a one-bedroom flat with no garden, no animals, cold. She didn't know anybody. Anyway, I was excelling at my cricket, and then we had an award ceremony, like a braai at one of the guys' house, and all the parents were there. And we were all in the garden, and we heard this shouting and screaming and this big commotion. And then one of the parents came out and told us all to stay there. Don't come out. And I was looking for my mom and my dad. I couldn't find where are they? Anyway, I ended up going out the side entrance and then running into the street. And I looked onto the main road, and my mom was running for the main road, and she jumped in front of a car actually, and then they clipped her. Thank goodness it swerved, and she got hit. And then the ambulance came, and then they put me back inside the house, and then I stayed there for 2 days. And then when I came out, there was a letter on my bed, and my mom had explained that she'd left, that she flew back to South Africa.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So then it was just basically in the UK growing up with your dad.
Yeah.
Okay. And then did your dad meet anyone over that side? Or?
Yeah, he had a couple of girlfriends,
Okay.
But nothing serious, more just for company, I guess,
Right.
Yeah.
How was life for you though? In that, I mean, so your mom, you're 13 when your mom flies back to you. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, you're just getting into your teenage years, and
Just
how?
getting teenage years, and I didn't really understand, because I always thought their relationship was great,
Yeah.
They kept it very well hidden. That obviously it was
Right.
a lot of turmoil and pain, but at the time I didn't really understand. I didn't grasp it. I do now,
Right, yeah.
But when you're young and you're pre-teen, come into teenage years, you question everything. You don't, there's no understanding. Nobody really wants to explain to you, So I was confused. So my dad fed me a lot of lies as well about my mom, the reason why she left, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and she doesn't want you, she doesn't like you,
At the time, you didn't know there were lies. Excuse me. At the time, you didn't know there were lies, or were you aware that this is not true?
No, I didn't. I thought I actually believed my dad eventually, because he used to tell it to me so much, and so I started believing him, and it was hard for me to speak to my mom, because my dad was such it turned out an incredibly abusive human being to her, and then towards me later in life. But I couldn't speak to my mom alone. He would stand there right there, then he'd grab the phone from me. So she ended up not calling anymore because of that. So I had to go to other places to call my mom, and it was always bits of quick conversations. So to me, I was building up this picture that she maybe she doesn't want me, but I didn't understand at the time that she was actually just trying to save herself, because she didn't realize that what my dad would do to her, he would do to me, but
Okay.
yeah, I didn't see that one coming.
Right. So it's just basically, I'm assuming, then you're just putting your mind in sport and just playing sport
Yeah.
and excelling at cricket at
Yeah,
school.
my dad pushed me very hard for cricket, because I played rugby. I played club rugby there, and I played for school. But when I went for cricket, I played men's first team. I played for my club, and I played for school.
Right.
And that was before Surrey. Then I was, playing for 4 different department leagues, and then I was going to nets during the whole of the winter as well, 4 or 5 times a week, plus all the games on the weekend. I'm playing 4 games, one after each other on a Saturday, one after each other on a Sunday, and I was exhausted. I was doing well, but also with my home life, I started losing the passion. My mind was really far away from there, eventually,
When you say home life, what do you mean?
Well, after my mom left, my dad started drinking a lot, and with that, I knew he had a very bad temper. He liked to smash things, and he was very emotional. But I put that down to my mom leaving, and I was starting to get a little bit nervous. I put myself in my room a lot. But then the one day, he asked me to take out the rubbish, because they collect trash on Tuesdays, whatever. And I didn't do it. And then I came back from school, and he had taken the rubbish, and he had emptied it all over my bed. And then he took me into the room and started screaming and shouting at me and whatnot. And then he grabbed me by the throat and he threw me against the wall and he started choking me, like quite badly. And then, when he let me go, he gave me a few smacks and then he just left me on the floor. And I was like quite traumatized and I didn't understand why he'd never done that before, So I was very confused, And then he went to the lounge and then I stayed in my room and then it was like nothing happened. When I woke up in the morning, he greeted me, he was happy, which was even more shocking, This like Dr. Jekyll and Hyde, this complete change. So I thought I put it down to, I got to let me do what he asked, do my chores, do the dishes, clean, whatever the case may be, to avoid that, But when I went to school, my mind was also on what happened to me, and my mind wasn't on schoolwork. Mine was on my mom. I was very unhappy. Children can be very mean, because there's no filter. They say what they want without regards to how you're feeling. Mm-hmm. And English kids can be very, very, especially with the accent or whatever. But, I played rugby and I could hold my own.
Was that after when your mom jumped in front of the car? Then
yeah, everybody found out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I got treated very differently after that. I still had a couple of my circle of friends, but generally people just,
distance themselves
from me. Yeah.
Really?
So,
what do you know what they were saying? I mean, was it a?
Yeah, I think that my mom was crazy. That mostly just about mental health issues, and that I was the same. So they also those words affected me quite a bit, and then there was a lot of bullying in school, like not towards me really, but there was a lot going on, and especially after 9/11, when the attacks happened, because it was quite a diverse school. There were Palestinians, there were Israelis, there was Muslim, and they got attacked quite badly and stoned and beaten up and
by fellow students,
people that went to school with them, and like at the bus stop when we were all waiting for them, that's when the attacks would happen, and like it affected me quite badly, it really and then also with the violence at home, when I would go home, I never knew what I was going to find, eventually my dad would find reasons, like my bed is unmade, then he would beat me up, kick me, throw me down on the ground, choke me, then he'd leave, and then he would come back and he'd sit me down, and then he would lecture me, but he would, because of the alcohol, he would repeat himself a lot, and by things I didn't understand, and he'd keep me there for hours, and then he'd say it's all your fault, this is the reason why I'm doing this. He would never apologize, for what he'd done. In his mind, he was right, and I thought, no, okay, there's a problem with me. This is why he's doing these things to me. I didn't think it was the alcohol, because he'd always controlled himself really well. He was a functional alcoholic. I didn't understand the consequences of addiction at that time. So, as my school was going on, I got a little bit older. I became very much. I had my friends, I had my social life, but I withdrew into myself. I became quite, a reclusive person, and then I would find other ways of expressing myself, music being one of them, skateboarding being another one, and then I turned to vandalizing things.
Okay.
Yeah, I would go out at nighttime on weekends, and I'd find buildings, cars, and I'd throw bricks through them.
You just alone, you just wake up and just like...
Yeah, I'm going to go, I need to, I'd try and, or I'd find other guys on the street, and then maybe I'd throw something or swear at them, and then get them to chase me, and I'd run away, and I'd see if I can outrun them, and, that became my early teenage years. I lost my passion in cricket, so I left the cricket completely, and then when I was just before my 16th birthday, I got beaten up quite badly by my dad, like really badly. My face was black, it was blue. That one was like almost like a whole day. He locked me in the house, and I couldn't get out. and he would come in stages, you know, and then every time would be different, you know. And he burned me with cigarettes, put boiling water on my hand. He took all the flesh off my hand here. So after that, I was supposed to go to school, but I didn't. So I ran away, and I would, you know, stay away. And then obviously people want to know why I'm absent. Then social services got involved, and then they saw me, and then they took me away, and they put me into a youth home.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was quite a shock, you know. I had completely lost any kind of emotion for my father at that point, because I mean, I'm just giving a brief of what happened. It happened a lot over a lot of years, different ways, emotional, physical, you name it. You know, he poisoned me against everybody, my own family. You know, my own family didn't believe me. He'd beat me up. I had a cousin living in London at the time, and he beat me up, and I ran away to her. And when I got there, she thought that I'd done that to myself. You know, I was crying wolf, and then they sent me straight back to my father. You know, and I was like, oh my word. Right. And so you know, that was quite hectic. And then when I went to the home for boys, you know, you're still supposed to go to school, and if you go to school for a certain amount of days, if you fill your 5 days, you get like £50 at the end of the week. You know. Now I'm here with all these kids from different backgrounds, you know, and whatnot, and all of a sudden I found like kindred souls, people who I can relate to almost, you know, who I don't feel like an outsider. You know, I've got a little bit in common, you know, and a lot of them were older, some were younger, but generally everybody was like treated me okay, you know, that we were fine, you know, and all of a sudden I had this newfound freedom. In London, I moved from a suburb to the centre of London, you know, and my imagination just went wild, you know. I was like, cool. I finished my school, my GCSEs, which is like equivalent to just before matric, like your standard 9 or standard 10, you know, without going further education. They asked me if I wanted to do it, but I was like, no, thank you, you know. I wanted to do music. I wanted to do this. I wanted to be creative. I wanted to get in the film industry. I wanted to, I had all these dreams. And I also wanted to be naughty.
Okay.
You know, I had a tendency towards the darker things in life. You know, I felt...
Before we get to the darker things in life, just at this stage, where is your dad, and is he in the picture?
He's still in the UK.
No, not now, but I'm saying, but at that point in time, yeah. So
yeah.
you now you're at the social at the boys' school.
Yes.
I mean, did you press charges against your dad in terms of, I mean, how the social like, I'm just trying to understand where is he in your life at that moment? Yeah.
So the police asked me if I wanted to open a case against him. I said no. But it turned out that he had already had an attempted murder case for my mom, because what he had done to her. She eventually dropped it because of what would happen to me, because the system would take me away, and she didn't realize that at the time, you know. But she sent me photographs of what he had done to her, and it's always shocking. He almost killed her. Like it's really bad. Like, you know, she had facial reconstruction here, all her teeth were out. You know, like, you get the picture, like bad. And but at the time, he was doing everything in his power to get me to come back home. He's changed, you know. He could talk a good talk, you know, and he's done that before so many times because I'd run away, and I believe him, you know, because he's got this tendency to change himself. You know, people love him. He's charismatic. You know, he's social. He's funny. You know, women like him. But he turns so quickly, you know. So I felt in my heart I was being led here under false, you know. I think because the police and the social services got involved, people knew this now. So now it's his name. It's not what he did to me. It's what I've done to him and his name. And I knew if I went back, you know, I don't know what will happen next time.
Right.
Now he's worked himself up, but he's not really in the picture. He doesn't know where I am because they don't have to tell him where I am. If I want to contact him, then I can, yeah.
Okay. So you have so you're doing all these multiple things,
yeah,
and also you want to catch on nonsense.
Yeah.
Jeez, guy.
I feel like nothing malicious or like ill. Like I used to. There's a street culture in the UK is quite a big thing. Like so with graffiti and like b-boying, breakdancing, and hip hop and like battles. And with that comes like like they form crews.
Okay.
Almost, and it becomes almost like your surrogate family. So to me, that was what I wanted to be a part of that. I liked my own company, but for a while I was like, there's a bigger world out there where I can fit in as well, and but yeah, that's what I was aiming for, and it did not turn out the way I thought it would.
Yeah.
It went so much, I went further than I should have.
Tell me about that.
Okay, so I started smoking weed.
How old are you?
I am now 16.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm 16. I started smoking weed, and it was something that I believed was like put on this earth for me specifically. At the time, like dealing with my trauma and my whatever, and it numbed me. To a way my overactive mind would analyze everything. And I started hating myself a lot, like really, really hating myself every day. And and then I met this guy, and we started stealing bikes, popping locks, and then selling bikes. And then I was introduced to shoplifting alcohol and breaking locks, and then hitting dry stores. Then I was breaking into cars, And while I was doing this, I was doing it with this other guy, and at the time I didn't realize. I thought he just liked me, I didn't realize he was just using me, because I would do all of the the work, and then he would split the money, like not quite evenly, but
right.
So, but at the time I felt, and he praised me, and he'd like and it felt good,
Right. That was to sort of satisfy that hating yourself thing. But now, the hating yourself, was it because of smoking the weed, or was it hating yourself because of just life at that moment in time, in terms of your dad and abuse and all that?
I think that it has a little bit of both, because the weed at the time I thought I knew everything. I'm worldly, I'm experienced, nobody can tell me anything. That nobody can tell me weed is bad for you. I mean, especially for a growing mind and a body that's developing, it kind of backfired, because when I'd smoke, I would go so deep into what I would think, that I would start giving myself really bad anxiety.
Okay.
Which became actually quite crippling later in my life, and then the decisions I would be based would be clouded, and so yeah.
Okay. So he was the father that you thought you wanted, in terms of him looking after you and giving you the money, and
and people like knew him everywhere he went, and like people liked him, and he also had this awesome pit bull, so like he had like this whole the cliche like persona, and I was like, that's the person I want to be, which it was terrible, but at the time it was, and I spent a lot of my time in bookstores and libraries.
Okay.
And that was my sanctuary. I would escape, through reading. Yeah.
Did you read when you were growing up?
Yes, yeah. That's one thing my mom instilled in me, is I've always read since I was very young. Yeah.
Okay. And any books that you can remember that were sort of like your go-to books at the time?
Yes, Lord of the Flies. The Hardy Boys when I was really young.
Mm-hmm.
Even Enid Blyton. What else was there? There's quite a few. And then I would also I read encyclopedias a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm quite a good 30 seconds player, general knowledge player.
Okay.
It's useless, but it's
30 seconds.
You're
the man. Okay. So you're reading a lot. You're going to bookshops and stuff. And was it just to, as I said, your sanctuary? But I mean, what else were you doing at the time besides obviously the breaking ins and all these things? I mean, what else is happening? And
I would be roaming London in the street. Like I'd have no direction at all, no goals, no purpose. There were a lot of programs actually available for people, you know, through the boys' place that I was staying, you know, where you can work with people, social worker, do courses, etc., pull your CV up, you know. But to me, that was like very similar to school, and you know, I regret it now, you know, so much. But at the time, I was like, I don't want to be in here all day, you know. And then now I've got to go back to the boys' town. Like I'm enjoying having money in my pocket, you know. I enjoy going to, you know, doing things that other people may not be doing. You know, I wouldn't really have a set destination. I would just jump on the train or tube, and I'd go, you know. And then music also was a big influence in my life. So I tended to go to a lot of parties and stuff like that. And then I met my dear friend alcohol, which would come to rule my life for the next 14 years terribly.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where the Dex song now links in.
Yeah,
okay,
it's got a very special, you know, meaning to me because, yeah, and I conquered that demon, so it wasn't easy, but I did. Right.
Let me actually read those lyrics because I was actually reading them and because I saw you bopping to them and I was like, okay, this song is much deeper than. It says, I got wasted because I didn't want to deal with myself tonight. My thoughts get drowned until I feel alright. I keep drinking till I'm someone I don't recognize. I got wasted. I got wasted because I didn't want to deal with myself tonight. My thoughts get drowned until I feel alright. I keep drinking till I'm someone I don't recognize. Repeat the cycle every day. I gotta start with a drink. My life been getting sort of crazy. I don't want to think. I look myself in the mirror. I don't even blink. Then I get angry, take the rest and pour it in the sink. I know where this road goes.
Yeah, very profound.
When I read those lyrics early on, I was like, wow. I was blown away.
No, I can definitely relate to that, you know. Actually, both my parents were alcoholics. My mom, not a crazy drunk, you know, like quite a little bit emotional, but not an abusive drunk. And I did not at the time think that I would at all be worse than both of them, you know. It was, I mean, I'd had a couple of beers, you know, once or twice, but I didn't enjoy it, you know. And then I got drunk on wine, and it tasted a lot better than beer. You know, it was easily available in the UK. It was cheap, you know, cheaper than food. And when I drank, well, after I passed the stage, because when you start drinking in your early stages, you know, your motor skills are out, and so you spin and you can't control yourself, you know. And then you pass that stage where you can kind of function, you know. But I had this confidence in me. I felt good. I would hit my best relationship at that time was my earphones and my music. So I would start drinking and I'd listen to my headphones the whole day until I passed out or until whatever, you know. It became like a therapy for me when I didn't think it was actually doing so much damage, but I became so reliant on the alcohol that when I was 18, 19, I had my first anxiety, a panic attack when I was outside the house and I thought I was dying. You know, and it was such a shock to the system because I never experienced anything like that before. You know, I thought something's wrong with me, and then as soon as I had a drink, it would go away. And then now I had to drink before I left the house, before I did anything. And I mean, I'm not talking about a glass, I'm talking about a whole bottle of wine before I left the house, you know.
And you're 18 at the
stage.
stage.
And I'm 18 at the stage, yeah. Now I'm angry.
No one is, and at the, you know, you're still at the social home, right? At the boys' home.
At this point, I had left the social home, and I was sleeping with people on people's floors that I knew. I was sleeping at the Heathrow Airport. I was sleeping at shelters that were available, pretty much wherever, you know. Girls I'd hooked up with that I met at a party. It varied, you know. I had absolutely no solid foundation.
Right,
yeah.
right.
And I was okay with that. I didn't see a problem.
Okay,
you know?
okay. So you can't leave home now without having a drink?
No, not at all. I have to drink like all day. Even before when I go to bed, you know, there's like at least half a bottle there. And I was drinking just wine, I just like 5 or 6 bottles of wine a day.
And where are you getting the money from?
You get, because I'm British, got dual nationality. If you are unemployed and you're under a certain age, they give you a monthly like stipend, a gyro they call it. You cash it there, it's like £120 a week.
Okay.
So that would last me for a while, and then when I didn't have any, I would go and shoplift it.
Right. That's £120. That's 2,000 rands
Crazy,
a week.
huh? And they give you traveling fare, they give you food. I mean, and they have the places to stay if that's what you accept there.
Yeah.
But
I was actually, you say that the PM, Richard Sunak, I think his name is, the current PM, they actually want to scrap part of the. No, it's not. It's not the. Is it the dole?
Yeah, the dole. Yes, that's what it's called.
Yeah,
The dole. The dole
yeah.
varies from income, job seekers allowance. The being the under 21. If you're a single mother and you have children, to the housing allowance. The more children you have, the more rooms you get.
Right.
And your obviously the allowance per child. And there is a lot of people on the dole, and people are committing fraud.
So this is exactly what Richard was saying. Is that the PM is that what's happening now is that people are fraudulently abusing the system.
Yes, yeah.
And so okay, England since Brexit, the economy has just tanked.
100%.
So now they don't have money.
Yeah.
In short, so
Yeah.
the welfare system is sort of crumbling, and they're saying, okay,
And
people now have to get.
It's a weekly basis that they're dishing out this money. I mean, I committed a fraud there as well with my checks. I mean, I found out how to do it. At the time, it was very, very simple.
How do you do it?
So you would go. It's called signing on. You go with your insurance number, your name. And then you'd speak to a job center person to help you. Are you currently seeking work? Yes, I am. And they give you a piece of paper, and you've got to go to the actual addresses and get them to sign. Then they'll submit that, and then about 4 days later, you'd go and you'd pick up your check.
Okay.
Now, it's with that check. The system is so. I couldn't believe that it actually worked because it's so ridiculous. There's also what they call the emergency gyro center, which is like a little section separate from the job center, and they help people who are in like a crisis, like maybe a mother and a child have run away or whatever. Then they issue them with an emergency gyro. So I'd cash that check and I'd go back to the place and I'd say I didn't receive my check, and I told them that, and all they have to do is go into the system or go speak to someone, but they believe you at your word, and then they would be like, okay, we're going to issue you another one, and they'd issue me an emergency gyro, and you just give your insurance number, because when they give you your check there, that you've only received it now, so they're not going to know until like 24 hours,
Right.
Then I'd go to another job center, and then I would do the same thing, and I'd do like 4 or 5 of them a day.
Jeez, dude. And how much money are we talking about here?
So that's
Per center?
240, 360, 480.
£480.
Yeah, in total, almost £500.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, yeah.
It's a lot of alcohol also.
It's a lot of alcohol and a lot of rubbish that I spend on, like absolutely useless things.
Yeah.
But I really abuse the system, like. But then when I was, to work out the timeline, when I was about 19, 20, I started fighting, like getting into fights. My alcohol I started getting violent, My dad came out of me. I would go out and pick fights where I know I'm going to lose and get beaten up, because I want to feel something. So,
And are you still drunk at this stage when you?
Yeah, I'm still wasted, And I mean, this time I've been arrested, a lot of times by this point, drunken, disorderly, assault, fraud, shoplifting, And I went to it's called Feltham Young Offenders, so I did some time there, and then when I turned 21, I went to Brixton, HMP Brixton, and Wandsworth. I did time with both of them, and then
for those robberies and for what?
Yeah, for my criminal record was building up now, and I'm repeat offending. So they,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. How was time inside there?
Compared to South Africa, very easy. Yeah, it's very chill. To me, it's very easy. You know, people deal with those situations very differently. I adapted very quickly. You know, the confinement, okay, is a problem. You know, people struggle with that, especially when they first come in, because it's 22 and 2, which means 22 hours in, 2 hours out, and then that's including exercise, showers, and your food. So you're stuck in a very, very small cell with another guy for 22 hours a day. You know, it can get a bit much. But
what did you do inside there?
you sleep, you talk, you think about food a lot. Actually, like you become so creative.
What about food?
Like all the good food that
you think about menus you're gonna cook when you get out.
I wish I could just go and eat this, or you know, and then you're waiting for lunch, and then you get there and you just like it's just.
It's not what you wished for.
It's not supposed to be nice inside, so it's you understand.
Yeah.
But you make it through. So.
Right. But now, how are you? Because I mean, 1 minute you're a functioning alcoholic who can't survive without wine in your system, and then next second you're in this confined space. How are you? How's your body and dealing with this? And
I had withdrawals. You know. Mild, I would say mild to moderate withdrawals. You know. Which I never experienced before, so it was quite hectic. My anxiety became almost crippling. So I struggled a lot with that. But then eventually, once my body detoxed, the
alcohol.
The anxiety attacks went away.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So you know, and I started working out. I started keeping myself busy. I'd read a lot, you know. But then when I'd be released, I would be released. I always have like this also anxiety and stress about what am I going to do when I get out, you know. And all I was thinking about was a drink. I want to get drunk. I want to, I want to go party, whatever. And then, I started slowly just digging myself darker and deeper emotionally. You know, I had absolutely no direction. I was lying to my family. I told them everything is fine. I'm fine working. I'm you know.
When you say family, is this your...
Okay, well, my mom and my cousins and my aunt and uncles and stuff, yeah.
Back here in South Africa?
Yeah.
Okay. So your dad is British and mom's South African?
Yeah, my dad's family is British, my mom's South African.
Okay. So now you'd established communication back with your mom, and
yes.
you're talking with her
yes.
now at this stage.
At this stage. Also, I managed to go on holiday actually to see her in Dubai.
Okay.
Which was amazing. I hadn't seen her for like 7 years, so that was awesome, you know. And then she told me a lot about the reason why she left. I'm a bit older now, understanding, and you know, she blamed herself a lot because of what happened to me or what he did to me. And you know, I still to this day I reassure her that, Mom, I don't hold any ill will. I would have done the same. You kept it up for 20 years. I mean, you deserve a medal or something, you know. You're a soldier, you know. And it was to protect me, you know. She never knew that he would do it to me. So, you know, I think she had a lot of guilt by that. But, no, it was really amazing seeing her. And that she was remarried to an incredible human being, treated like a princess, you know. So it was good. It was happy for me. So I had a good time, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But even in Dubai, I got arrested.
You got arrested?
I got arrested in Dubai. Can you believe it?
On holiday?
On holiday. Yeah, out of all, you know, my mom was very, very, very adamant. You know, obviously, Dubai being Dubai and its laws, you know, you have to be very careful. You know, obviously, my mom was like, don't bring any weed with you. And I was like, well, I'm not going to bring weed on any airplane, you know. But I was like, don't worry, Mom. And she's also like, you're not allowed to drink, you know. So I took that with a pinch of salt. You know, I was like, oh yeah, it's like, you know, you can drink, but you're not allowed, you know, 18. I was like, that's the message I got. Not like, you should not get caught drinking at all, you know.
You didn't know Dubai is
yeah, I know. I found out, you know, like I realized how strict it is, you know, like with the drinking and that. But I found loopholes. My mom and them were a member of the Oasis Beach Club, which is like it caters to people, foreigners who are working there. So they had a bar. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go there every day. And then they didn't ID me, Also, I used to tip really well, so I guess that helped. Then I used to get drunk there, and then I'd go out into Dubai drunk, like 50, 40 something degrees of heat. I'd take taxis to malls and I'd walk around, and I'm surprised that I didn't get in more trouble. But the night of the arrest, what happened was I met this guy named Mark, who's from New Zealand. He became my friend. And we were walking down the road, and there was like 4 or 5 of these girls coming. I don't know, they had a problem with him, and they started arguing, and the one girl hit him in the face with a tennis racket, like unprovoked. I was like, whoa, that's hectic, you know. So we went back to his house, and he's like bleeding nose. Then we hatched a plan. We're gonna egg their house, you know.
What's egg the house?
We're gonna take eggs and we're gonna throw.
Okay.
And like in Dubai, it's like the whole houses are like it's a mirror. It's like windows, you know. Like, so I was like, that's perfect. So at the time I was like, yes, you know, I got my friend. We're gonna avenge you. This is a great idea. Not knowing who her father was, like, you know, he was like really connected with the local like police and all that. And then we emptied a tray of eggs in the house. Mission accomplished. High five. Cool. See you tomorrow. Went back home. So now I'm sitting in the lounge, and my mom's got a bar in her house as well. She doesn't know the extent of my alcohol thing. Until there's another story, but I'll finish this first. So I see flashing lights. I'm driving past the house, the police car, and automatically I'm like, they're here for us. So
your friend is not there. It's just you and your mom.
He's gone to his house.
Right.
In the same complex. Now I see the guy, and I think, oh shit, what's going on? You know, I'm gonna get arrested. Paranoid. And I'm like, no, let me play cool. Let me just go outside, smoke a cigarette, and then, you know, see what the situation is. I get outside, light a cigarette. As a police car comes past, they stop in front of me, and then they get out, and Mark is also in the, and I was like, okay. They arrested me, gave us a couple of claps, and I was like, oh my word, I'm in a Muslim country, Islamic country, as a foreigner, drunk, because now they said they can smell alcohol in our breath. They're going to blood test us, you know, and that's something they have the full right to do. And I was like, my mom's not going to know where I am. Anyway, they took us in the car, handcuffed us, drove us to their central police station, and they put us in the holding cells, which was nothing more than a room with bars and a hole in the ground, like broken tiles everywhere, and a two-way mirror. They kept us there for about 8 hours, not saying anything. The next person I see is my mother coming in there, and my goodness gracious, does she look like she's bringing all the fury of every woman scorned ever. But
do you blame her?
Not at all, because it's putting their jobs and their lives at risk, which I had no understanding for at the time. You know, it was very selfish of me. But she got us out. We paid a fine, and that was that. But it was something that I, I'll never forget. Yeah. So.
How was the drive back home?
Quiet.
I'm sure she was happy to see you out of Dubai.
She was happy, yeah. She was really like, you go back to England now, you know. It's better there for you. But we made up. My mom forgives me very quickly, you know.
Right.
I realized the wrong I'd done, you know.
Yeah.
And I just like I should have done something else where I wouldn't have got caught. So, that was my mindset at the time, you know, not realizing that it actually had nothing to do with me. I don't know what he did to them. He could have done something to them. And now I'm just standing up and you know,
sure,
taking, you know, if he jumps in the fire, then what is it? Means I'm going to do it as well. And it's dumb. It's just a stupid way of thinking, which has got me in trouble a lot over my life.
But why do you think like that?
I guess to be accepted. You know, you want people to notice it. Not like I'm not a loud person. I'm quite a shy person. I don't look for any undue attention. But at that point in my life, I was so confused that you know, I wanted friends. I wanted people to respect me a little bit. So I thought that was the way of going about it. You know, and yeah, how wrong I was.
So you get back to the UK,
yeah,
and life carries on. You know, you just carry on going, still cashing the checks and doing all that.
Yeah, but at this point now, my family decided to step in because I was facing like a 3-year prison sentence in the UK, and
for what? No.
For robbery, yeah, with a weapon. And now my dad actually was now kind of getting involved in my life again, because the lawyers got hold of him, and he rocked up there, And so he spoke to the lawyers and the prosecutors and whatnot, and then they gave me a plea bargain, which was I have to because I already done like 6 months in jail. They'll take time considered that I've done that, plus I have to leave the UK for my duration of my sentence. Then I can come back.
You have to leave.
Yeah.
Okay, so leave to South Africa.
To South Africa,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
And then that's what happened. They booked me a ticket after I was done with my court case, and then I left like 2 days later.
Okay.
Yeah, I came back to South Africa, where things really got interesting.
Just a bag.
Just a bag, and a lot of anger and bitterness in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I arrived back in a place I haven't been back with since I was like 11.
Right. But why were you angry?
That I'm being taken out of my life here, that people didn't believe me when I cried for help, that I had I had nothing really, I hadn't accomplished anything, and you know, all the people I was in contact with, my friends, you know, were making progress, doing the, you know, climbing the ladder, university, higher education, you know, some doing second degrees, going traveling, taking gap years around the world, having internships, you know, girlfriends, and here I was alone, angry, misunderstood. You know, I felt like something was wrong with me, but I didn't know what. You know, I felt I was just different and broken, maybe I guess the right word would be. And I was trying to go about fixing myself. I was like, I can, you know, I can live a normal life. I can, you know, and that's where, like, I guess, putting on a completely different persona to people for a lot of years of my life, would you know, that's what I did. But coming back to South Africa, I had to move in with my grandparents now, who are like in their 80s. They live in quite a poor area of town in Durban, a place called the Borough.
Okay.
Yeah, it's near Pinetown, Queensborough. Now, my grandfather was not the most upstanding citizen in the world. He was an alcoholic as well, with a tendency to abuse his daughters sexually and physically, which I only found out after he passed away. You know, everybody else knew, but because they knew I probably would have killed him. And they put me there. And he made me do things like, you know, like menial jobs and like things that didn't actually need to be, you know, just because, you know, he wants to see how much control he had over me. You know, I was never very close with him. He was racist, he was rude, he was a horrible human being to me, and I hated him very much. My grandmother, had passed away a few years before that. Then I'm living with my cousin Darren, who was the same age as me, and I ended
So
up.
it's just the two of you and then your grandfather?
And my grandfather, yeah.
Right.
And he would be at the gambling, the tote and drinking, and, you know, and then he would do things for my female cousin, and he would say things, and like, you know, that were very, very, you know, what's the right word for this, you know, disgusting, predatory, you know, yeah, like, you know, they're definitely wrong. I kind of like, you know, I didn't know, but, you know, I knew that you say certain things and you know, a touch here and that was very wrong, you know, that you shouldn't be doing, you know, and she obviously knew it too, but she was also scared of him, you know, but I didn't go any further than that, you know. But then I got drunk one day and he hit me with the shambok. He came after me with the shambok, and you know, I realized then that I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be like these people. These are my family. Am I going to be like them? You know, I don't want to be like them. I want to be, you know, I want to be, because I know that I'm inside, like I'm you know, a half decent guy, and like I'm quiet. I'm you know, I just I wanted to be better.
Sure, sure.
But I didn't know how.
Right. And so, but you're still angry though?
I'm still angry, still
Yeah,
drinking.
Still drinking?
Still, now I'm stealing to feed my habit of alcohol. Also, my mom was sending me money, you know. But then I did like a year there, and then when I was, I'm 21 now, I turned 22, and then my aunt had put me into like a granny flat in someone else's house, and then I started working for my uncle. He was manufacturing gas braais.
Okay.
So yeah, I started working there, and I was doing really, really well. I was in, like assembling and product check, you know, and then I was working also for an aluminium company. There's also fitting, assembling in the factory, and then going to site and then installing them. And I did that for about it was over a year and a half. Still drinking, still smoking weed.
And no one can pick it up at these places of work.
No, nobody could pick it up.
Right.
Yeah, you know, and I was still going out and causing trouble, fighting and stuff like that. But I felt I had a little bit more control over myself now. But the anger was still there and still burning and growing actually inside. You know, I just didn't realize it. I thought that I was getting better, and then when I was my aunt noticed that my drinking is getting quite out of hand, because I'd go to her house and I'd steal all the booze out their fridge. I'd even go there during the week when there was no one there, because they were very financially like well off. You know, like my dad also was a printer, so he's always in packaging, so he's always done well for himself. Like all my that side of my family have always worked and done well, and they've provided for me for a few years. My rent, my food, clothes, etc. I didn't need anything.
When you were back here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't go without anything, They bought me TVs, Xboxes, so it wasn't, but I was still not fulfilled, I was still empty. And then I started like cutting myself, burning myself, hurting myself, like punching mirrors, and when I was like really drunk, And then when I wake up, I'd be like, what's wrong with me? Why have I done this? I was like, so ashamed of myself, And I was like, there's something really, 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 really fucked up about me. And then they hit me with a surprise rehab stint. Yeah, they said I was going away for like a workshop, a building workshop, and I believed all of it as well. I was like,
so was the work on it, like where the place of work, or
yeah, because it was my uncle's company.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they all knew that I was my drinking was nice, because like at braais, at weddings, I would take so much full advantage. I'd get paralytic drunk, and I'd do things, say things that were way out of line, embarrass myself. And it's always up until a point where I'm fine and I'm happy and I'm like jolly, and then it just goes dark. And so they hit me with a surprise rehab.
Right.
It was supposed to be for 3 months, and then I went to rehab, which was I think anything but productive for me. Probably the wrong place, maybe, I don't know. Maybe the system didn't work. Maybe I don't know. I was not ready, or whatever the case may be. But I ended up smoking crack there for the first time and doing heroin for the first time in rehab. Yeah, so it just shows you what kind of place that is.
How did you get into that?
That there, so because there's nothing to do in rehab, now you're detoxing. I was so angry because they left me there, and I was like 3 hours away from Durban.
Which side of?
It was Greytown. It's KZN Midlands.
Oh, yeah, Midlands. Okay. There's nothing you can do there, my man.
It's farmland.
You can run.
You can run and you'll still get nowhere. So now I'm like, oh my word, how can they do this for me? How long is it for? 3 months. I was like, that was a curveball I didn't see coming, because they still gave me alcohol on the trip up. He has 2 6-packs. There's girls there. There's fishing mountain. I'm like, oh, that sounds rad. Bought me new clothes, new hats, and I felt fresh. Good, solid. Didn't know what I was getting myself into.
So what happened? Now you're driving into this place, and then now you start to see. You're like, walk me through that day.
And there's the sign that says, it's Harmony Retreat there. It's got a little farm stall on the side, very beautiful, picturesque. Mm-hmm. Dogs come out, Labrador, everything, Alsatian. I get out the car, and then I walked in. They've got like a main house there. I get there, and I see a whole bunch of people in a queue, like lining up, and I'm like, these are, strange looking people, I don't want to be rude or anything and say that, they might have some problems, but You know, they definitely
Not on holiday.
not on holiday, 100% not on holiday. I don't know, they were queuing up for their medication. This is what they were queuing up for. Their
Right.
fix, you know. And I was like, yo, and then it's like, hey, introduced to the owners, whatever. And I was like, oh my word. What have, you know, and at first I had to go for like this interview induction so they could make their getaway, you know. By the time I'd come out,
Oh, they
they'd gone.
bolted. Oh.
Yeah, my stuff was there. And then I was like, yo, and I was angry. And then anyway, they put me in a room.
By yourself?
No, with two other guys. Two vast different backgrounds. I mean, one was a crack addict, the other one was a crystal meth addict. You know, it turned out there's this whole variety of reasons there: depression, bulimia, you know, weed, alcohol, etc., pornography, food. Sorry, you know, a lot of different reasons there. And I felt like I didn't belong here. You know, I acknowledged that I had a problem, but I felt that I had it under control. So I rebelled. I didn't go to any classes. I didn't go to church. I did everything that I could to not cooperate with the program. And then I would go for long walks as well, go fishing. And then I found a kraal there, and then I made friends with the guys that work on the farm, and they organized me weed. So I'd go there and I'd give them like some new clothes and stuff, and they would give me like parcels of weed, you know, and a couple of quarts or whatever, and I'd chill the day with them, and you know, and then I'd go back later. So I was still rebelling, and and then I ended up using heroin from these two heroin addicts because
They had heroin on them. Or how did they
No,
get
so
heroin?
what happened was on Sundays you go to church and it's like a 4-hour service, you know, and they got like
Wait.
3 of them.
Are you a church guy?
Not per se. I have faith, but I'm not it's an odd question to answer. But I'm a believer, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm still working on the whole faith thing.
Right.
So at that point you could run. You get to the main road, and you could hitchhike, or if you got money, you could take a taxi to Maritzburg, which is like an hour and some bits away.
On a Sunday.
On a Sunday, yeah. So the one guy...
Whilst everyone's,
everyone's
at
at church, yeah.
Right.
So he would run, and then, yeah, the things people do, yeah. And I was like...
So hang on, he would run to the main road?
Yeah, and then he would either hitchhike,
Okay.
which, you know, it was like, that's a 50-50 because you're probably not going to make it back in time. But people are quite nice out in the farmlands. They usually pick you up quite quickly.
Okay.
So he would go, and then he'd go and he'd buy, and then he'd come back, and then he'd climb underneath electric fences and barbed wires and dig holes there. It's this whole crazy operation that we did.
Oh, were you also involved in the operation?
Because I was my money, because I had a visit I went home for the weekend
Okay.
to my cousins, and I managed to get like some money from my friends. So I had like $500 on me.
Okay.
So they knew that I had 500 rand, and that's why they pulled me up. I had no intention of using drugs, you know. I was saving it for my weed and my beer, you know, and but then they kind of, you know, they came up with the whole story, and I was like, okay. So I gave them taxi money and money for the drugs. I was like, but you have to share with me, yeah.
Okay.
You know,
or share, not share, not reimburse.
not reimbursed, yeah. I was like, I want to, you know, there must be a reason why these people are addicted to heroin. I was like, you know, I want to try everything once in my life. And little did I know, it was it's probably the worst mistake I've ever made in my life. With that kind of reasoning, you'll fail every time. So I ended up coming back, and then sitting in their room, and I'm watching them do their thing, you know, and then so the guy calls me over, and he says, sit down, takes my arm.
But you're sober right now.
I'm
eh?
sober, yeah.
Sober, no, okay.
No, and I mean, I don't know what I was thinking. And then, yeah, he shot me up with heroin, and it's hard to explain. It was probably, I don't want to glorify anything, you know, especially for drugs, because it's something I feel so strongly about, and hate is the right word for what it's done to not only me, to countless other people and families, the domino effect of it. But it was a feeling that I'll never forget at that time, but it made me very sick. And afterwards, I was like, I'm never doing that again, ever.
How was it feeling? Like you said, you're sick, but I mean,
Yeah,
you never forget. Like,
yeah, it's extremely hard to describe. But I would say like being wrapped in a warm blanket in the middle of a marshmallow, floating you don't feel anything, you don't think about pain. And if you do, any bad memory is gone, erased. You only feel thinking about the now, you know, and you're just going with it. Everything slows down, and you feel comforted. You know, your whole body, it's one with each other, and yeah, it's a strange feeling. But yeah, I was very sick after that, and then ended up staying at the rehab for 9 months instead of 3. That was their plan the whole time.
So their plan was 9.
Plan was long term, 9 months.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
So that whole 9 months you were rebelling.
I did absolutely nothing there for myself. I didn't work on myself at all. I got into fights. I snuck out. I bought beers. I did everything I can to try and get myself thrown off there, you know. But nothing worked.
Why do you think nothing worked?
Probably because my parents were my family was paying for whatever damages I did plus extra. I mean, I assume that's the way that it worked there.
Is it quite an expensive place?
Yeah, it was private. Yeah, it was quite a bit of money plus my pocket money every month, you know. So yeah, I mean, I caused quite a bit of damage there, like, you know. But better that than taking it out on someone, you know. So after 9 months, I was declared fit and sane and recovered by them to my family. Now I can go back. You know, they were so happy, they were so excited, you know, and I was lying.
In these 9 months, now you into heroin.
No, I'm not, I only used it the once. So
only the once. Okay, that was
no
it.
More. Yeah.
Right.
But the alcohol was still number 1 on my list, you know.
Right.
So now they put me in a place like another granny flat. Start working for my uncle again. Start drinking. Then they decided they heard about this thing called it's like where you work overseas. You go to America and you work in country clubs or golf estates, you know, waitering, bartending. So they said that I should go for it. So I did, and I got accepted, you know, funny enough, to Florida and Belen Isles. And so that was the start of my next journey, was flying to America. And, you know, I had to be clean, no drug test, you know, which you
don't sound confident.
No,
that you passed it.
Yeah, I did, because I cheated it. Yeah, I had no intention of smoking weed. I did. That's not true, actually. My mindset was that I wouldn't be able to sleep or function without the weed, you know. So I put a couple of granules in a condom with water, just for the color, tied it up, and then I tied it to my, you know, and then I went for my drug test. And then I pinched it open, and then in the cup, they put the stick in, no traces or anything. You can go to America, you've passed your drug test. So I was like, yeah, you know, fuck these people, they don't know anything, I'm better than them, I'm clever. Then so I fly to America. Now, get to Florida, and they take us to our residential places, and now I'm like, I'm in America, you know, I'm in the land of the free, home of the brave,
okay,
dream. I'm gonna, you know, this is where I'm supposed to be, you know. I want to go to Compton. I want to hang with Dre and Easy, you know, Ice Cube, and all the boys, you know, with KRS-One, and I'm like, yes, you know, I can do this.
Are these the guys you're listening to back in South Africa?
Yeah, like all the Outcast and Big Boy and Big L and all the New York boys, West Coast, East Coast, and I'm like, yeah. You know, I feel it. Right. You know, even I'm close to TI. You know, I'm close to Georgia, so I want to go to Atlanta. I want to go, you know, I want that southern flavor.
Right.
So now, like all the South Africans are like hanging out together, and I'm like, that's not for me. It's boring. I want to go into the locals. I want to meet, you know. So I go to a bar. The first bar I go to was called O'Charlie's. I'm drinking, and this bartender's like, hey, where you from? Your accent, da da da. And we start talking, and he's like, yeah, dude, I finished at 11, you know, I want to take you out to the club, party, you know. And the next morning at 7 o'clock, I've got my first day of induction, you know. That didn't even cross my mind.
So this is your first day in Florida?
Yeah, I'd arrived in Miami at like 8:30 that morning.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I've been out the whole day, you know, and I've bought a whole bunch of stuff, clothes, and, you know, I'm like, you know, it's like my first day. You know, just take a break, you know, like, nothing could stop me. And then this guy I met, he's like, yeah, we're going to go party and da-da-da. And so he also turned out to be an ecstasy, cocaine, and a weed dealer. And in this car, he's like, yo, do you want to take a pill? Do you want to sniff a line? Do you want to smoke a joint? And in my mind, I was like, if they do drug test me, you know, because now I'm not smoking, what is going to show up? It's going to be weed. So I end up taking coke with him, whatever. But anyway,
was it the first time you took coke?
The first time in my life?
Yeah.
No, I'd done it a handful of times with my cousin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So went home and slept and whatnot, and then the next morning went for the induction. They picked us up, and they're like, surprise, you have to do a drug test as well. So I was like, oh shit, I got no condoms and I'm here already, so I don't know what to do, you know. And then they have a guy that comes in and watches you, so I couldn't, you know, so I had to pee. I peed.
Even if you had a condom, you wouldn't be able to.
No, because they have like this guy that stands, that watches you, you know. The way before it was in South Africa was a lady doctor, and I could go to the cubicle by myself.
Okay.
So yeah, then that happened. Now I'm stressing. I'm like, oh my word, I'm gonna get fired before I've even started. They're gonna send me home. And then so pretty much I was stressing, and I carried on like normal. And then I worked about a week before I got called in.
So hold on, you passed the drug test?
No, the drug test results hadn't come back yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I started working for about a week, and then they called me in. Yeah, HR called me in and said, "Hey, you're positive for, cocaine and THC, But they're going to give me another opportunity. They're going to give me another place to work." So I was taken out of all of that and like isolated, exiled, in another part of Florida, where like I didn't know anybody. I was living with a bunch of Filipinos, which are actually awesome people. Now, and I'm working, and I'm stealing alcohol behind the bar.
So you're bartending at this place?
I'm bartending as well, and I'm helping myself, And then my cousin, I've got a cousin who stays there from my mom's side. Her brother, my uncle, he moved to the States when he was in the 70s. So he's got a daughter. He had a daughter. Now she lived in Virginia. Now my plan was to go see my aunt and my cousin for Thanksgiving, and so I booked my ticket and I went, and I just never came back. So I ran. Oh yeah. Because I knew they weren't going to renew my 6-month visa because of all the stuff. So I was like, I'm supposed to be here. I'm going to die here in the land of the brave. So
you still haven't seen a hip hop artist.
I still haven't seen anybody, and I'm like, okay, but the hope is still alive,
Right.
So I go to Virginia and I start staying with my cousin, and I'm working illegally under the table, working in a hair salon, washing people's hairs, rinsing perm out, which is disgusting, by the way. It smells horrible. Color balls, and now I'm like free, and I'm like, oh, cool, American ladies, and I'm living my best life I can.
Girlfriends, women.
Women. But then my cousin's best friend, her name was Heather. She took a liking to me, and then we started hanging out and hooking up. And then my cousin warned me. She said, don't go for Heather. I love her as a friend, but she is not for you. She's going to bring problems in your life. She's also been engaged for 7 years. She's just come out of.
So how old are you now at this stage?
I was 22. She was 28.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I'm a man, And then we moved in together. I went against my cousin's wishes. I moved in with her, and everybody cut me off, including my cousin. Now we were on our own.
Okay, hang on, but why? That's quite something must have happened. Yeah,
because I was living with my cousin, and so was Heather, and she didn't want me to. Heather actually stopped me from going to a family braai because I was like, I want to bring Heather, which is so immature of me, But they're like, no, either you come alone or you don't come at all. So I didn't go. So they were like, cool, you made your decision, such a shitty decision, but so yeah, now we're living together. She's working. I'm washing dishes at a Turkish restaurant, getting paid under the table. Not much, but enough to survive. Drinking is getting out of hand. Coke, weed every now and again. But my relationship is suffering terribly with her. I'm immature, with a lot of issues, personal a lot of issues. So they started coming out. I'm insecure, low self-esteem, and I kind of suspected that she was also seeing her ex, which turned out to be true. And she left me during a hurricane. Like, who does that? You know, it was like my first hurricane ever, and she's like, she leaves me the day before. She's like, yeah, you know, be safe. And I was like, okay, thanks. You know.
What do you like when you say hurricane? Like houses flying off and
yeah, like okay, not that extent, but like massive trees being uprooted, cars like moving, falling over, power grids like roof tiles coming off, like pretty bad.
Okay,
you know, it's so scary actually. So.
And what did you do at that time?
I sat in our apartment and looked out the window and just hoped that one of those trees didn't come through. You know, there's no electricity. Thank goodness we had gas, so I could still cook. But then, like, after it came out, it was like the world had been born again. Everything's beautiful. It's quiet. It's sunny. It's like birds are out. It's just chaos. But now
Such
I'm
a
like...
contrast, eh?
Yeah, it's so crazy. Anyway, then I was like, okay, now I'm going to get a hold of her. But she says no, she's moving in back with her mom. She's broken the lease on the apartment. I have, like, less than a week to get out and find my own place. So I had no money. I had no ID.
But that's drastic. I mean, what was happening in there? That she... Just such a drastic.
I don't know. Probably because of my mood swings. I was never happy. I was always negative and I was always depressed. Sometimes I want to get out of bed. You know. I had no drive. I was in a place that I'd so badly wanted to come my whole life, and now that I was here, I felt so lonely. You know. And I didn't know what to do. I was just, this avoided me. I couldn't fulfill. There was something missing. So
was she trying from her side?
She was. She was. She was doing her best. She really was. While working a full-time job as well, 2 jobs. You know, we're trying to save money to apply for my naturalization, my citizenship. We didn't get that far, but I moved in with one of the waitresses at my work, her and her boyfriend. And he was, you know, we're still in contact today. It was a great human being. They helped me out a lot. You know, they were there for me when I was like down and out. And I started, you know, frequenting the bars. And then one New Year's, it was quite a bad fight there.
You started a fight?
A fight.
Yeah. At the bar. Oh, you started a fight at the bar. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't start the fight, but it ended quite badly with ambulances and a guy. And I, for the first time in my life, I thought I'd killed somebody. It's something that haunts me a lot. I don't really know how to, you know, explain that, but to say that I went too far, and I hurt him quite badly, and I ran away. I ran home. I ran to the bush first and stayed there because I thought the cops were looking for me, which they were, but they didn't know who I was. They didn't know my name. They just had a description of me. So anyway, I get home, and then the first thing they said to me was, "The ambulance has got him. He is conscious." So I was like, "Oh, thank God," you know. And then 2 days later, at 4 o'clock in the morning, federal agents knocked on the door and took me into custody. Yeah. And then they transported me to a correctional facility there, where I spent about a month before being processed and then sent further up the East Coast to Pennsylvania, where I did the majority of my time, which was like 9 months there. Then it was New Jersey and then New York before I got deported.
So you were, excuse me, you were trialed for the fight.
No, not even for the fight. For overstaying my visa.
Oh, so the federal agents were there for your visa. It wasn't for the fight.
I thought it was for the GBH or whatever the case might be. You know, I was like, oh my word, because on their collars here, because it was winter then, all I saw was ICE. So I thought it said police, but it's not. It's Immigration Customs Enforcement.
Right.
I was like, oh my word. So.
But how
did they get
know?
me?
Yeah.
Facebook.
Oh.
I used to I put photos up there and of, you know, and I guess they could triangulate where it was coming from, and then I think my ex-wife also had something to do with it. Yeah. Okay. You know, I'm leaning more towards that one. But, you know.
Because I'm trying to think, like, why you? I mean, you work in a Turkish restaurant, you're underground, you're being paid under
off the radar, actually.
Yeah, off the radar, that's what I'm saying, you know?
Yeah. So I never got to hang with my hip-hop artists, but...
okay.
Yeah.
So, now you spent time at a correctional service in the US.
Yeah, almost 12 months.
How was that experience?
That was another experience, all on its own. Americans are hardcore. They're big people. You know, they're big. You know, they're a lot taller. They're a lot muscly. I mean, I'm not talking from guys just working out. I'm talking like just normal people.
Are we talking about across the board in terms of races? Doesn't matter whether it's black, white, Chinese.
Okay, especially the African Americans and even the white guy. They are big people.
Okay.
They're the Chinese and the Hispanics
Spanish,
and then
yeah.
our Latinos are are quite
South Africans.
South Africans, yeah.
No, there's a certain population of South Africans also.
Yeah. So they all like they're normal, but like I was so shocked, and then you add that with people working out in gym, you get a whole nother level of big, and it's gang infested. Obviously, it's ruled by the gangs, but not like South Africa with a number. It's ruled there by gangs on the outside. The affiliation outside, the Crips, the Bloods, the Latin Kings, the Noreños, the Sureños, the Murder Inc. Who else? There's a lot. The Folk Nation as well. All these different gangs that are, and they don't segregate them there. Like they put them together there. So violence is a common thing there. A lot of stabbings. And if you come in there for a sexual-orientated crime, any pedophile, rape, sexual assault of a minor, they know while you are unpacking your stuff, they are busy finding out what you are there for, and they find out within like an hour, and then they wait. And then you must pay for your crime. Doesn't matter if you're an armed robber or you're a drug dealer or you assaulted someone or murder, that's accepted. But anything against women, children, or pedophile is no. And then they do some hectic shit to you.
Like what?
Usually the common thing is they break a broomstick and then they put it in your repeatedly, while somebody has wrapped a towel around you so you can't scream. So then they leave you there, or they go and call the cops themselves to get taken out, because they will refuse to have someone like that stay and eat with them at their table, which I can understand.
So does that person basically stay in solitary then for the rest of their sentence?
Yeah, unless maybe until he goes to hospital, it gets healed, and then because the wardens are the ones that put you places, they usually will put you into a new block where it'll happen again, or they slice you up with razor blades that they've made. They call it buck 15, so they cut your cheeks up here and up here, so you are that they can tell what you're there for, and then it'll follow you your whole time in prison until they put you suicide watch or solitary for, yeah.
How do you survive?
Me?
Yeah.
Everybody loved me because I was from South Africa. I made friends with everybody. I made sure I've made friends with everybody, and I respected the discipline. I did what I was told. I didn't have ego. I worked out. And people were more interested than anything. And I wasn't affiliated with any gang, so I could freely move between everybody. So it was alright for me. I had one or two fights, only because they test you. You always get Power Rangers, like people that are like separate. They want to see how much power they have over you, and you cannot give it in. If you do, then it's going to happen every day, and it's going to be worse. Next time it's going to be something else. They invade your privacy. The only time you have at all to alone is when you're on the toilet, and that's like a sacred, that's, your few minutes of peace. And then people that just come up and, open the door, and they have absolutely no respect for your privacy. And that is when things happen. So, yeah.
Okay. So then 9 months, and they deport you to South Africa.
To South Africa.
Okay. And then you landed OR.
Landed at OR with absolutely nothing of the clothes on my back, and a brown paper bag, and I had $40 American.
What's in the brown paper bag?
My emergency travel document. And
okay,
yeah.
Right.
So, I don't know anyone in Joburg, but I did know my uncle's phone number, so he managed to book me a flight back to Durban. So I was very lucky, yeah. And then I got drunk on the plane. So, yeah.
I mean, I thought the 9 months in prison would detox you.
It did. Physically, it was great, but mentally, it did nothing for me. Which is, it made me, it's like I wasn't done yet. But yeah, things carried on the way they were. I was living by myself, drinking alone. I mean, I had a couple of friends and stuff, but you know, I was still empty. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I had absolutely no drive, no direction whatsoever.
So what would a typical day look like?
I'd wake up, I'd either drink a six-pack or a bottle of wine, listen to music, smoke a couple of joints. Maybe I'd wait for my friend to finish work, he'd pick me up, go bar hopping, and he'd drop me off like 3 or 4 times a week. And if he didn't, then I'd go out by myself. And then I'd hook up with girls, I'd meet people, go to their houses, I'd do drugs, you know, and then I'd just go back home. Same thing. Just like the same day over and over and over. Excuse me. And then by that point, my cousin, my cousin Darren, my mom's sister's children, they both moved to Cape Town, and they both had started their lives here, and they were going to fly me down for my birthday. So I was like, cool. Then I flew down to Cape Town. I fell in love with the city straight away, you know.
What about the city?
I guess at first it's not only the mountains, it's the way the city's built, you know. The Dutch architecture to, you know, the District 6, the history, the colourfulness, the diverse people, the street life, you know, the things you hear. You know, you hear all these crazy things, and then Stellenbosch and all the vineyard, like a whole bunch of things, you know. And I heard the girls are also quite nice. I was like, oh. So yeah, I came here, I stayed with my cousin. And
where did they stay?
I was staying in Woodbridge Island, Milnerton.
Okay.
And, you know, I'd given them a whole bunch of empty lies that, you know, I was, you know, doing well, and I was fine, I was happy, and, you know, I don't have a drinking problem, whatnot, and stuff, but, you know, I was still drinking, but not as much, you know. I couldn't really afford it, and I didn't want to steal it, and so I was kind of like behaving myself a bit, you know. I wasn't happy with it, but, you know, anyway, the 2 weeks finished. I went back to Durban, and then a month later, I packed up and moved to Cape Town permanently without anybody knowing. Yeah, I sold like everything I had, you know, most of my stuff, and then I moved up and I put myself in the backpackers. No, nobody knew until my money ran out from all the partying, you know, and that didn't take long. So I called my cousin. Actually, I went to her work. Surprise.
Gee.
I'm here. Please look after me. I need money. I need, you know, to support my addiction. So I moved in with them for like about a month, and I had to get a job. That was one of the conditions. I got a job bartending. You know, I did waitering, bartending, and I was drinking and still jawling the same repetitive stuff. And then I got a job in observatory at a restaurant, and I started working there, and I became friends with the head chef. And then one night at service, he's like, oh, I've been doing a double the whole day. He's like, you look like you need a upliftment. Yeah, he's like, he gave me his glasses case. So I took it. I thought it was cocaine. Turned out it wasn't. It was crystal meth. And then I started the road of my absolute destruction. Well, you know, that heroin hadn't entered again, so that's still to come. That was the cherry on top. That seal that took everything from me. But yeah, so I started using crystal meth. At first, just to stay awake and keep you know, like mind open and that, and you tell yourself these lies, you know, that you're fooling yourself, because what goes up must come down. And at the time, I thought it was nice. You know, I liked the feeling. I didn't like being awake so much, but you know, there's the price we pay.
What about the feel? Like you described heroin and how it made you feel. You know, cotton wool wrapped up. Crystal meth. What?
Complete opposite. It's like you've got electricity running through your veins. You are alive. Your mind is open. You feel like you can do 20 things at once. You're like keyed in. You can sit and do one thing for the next 12 hours. It's crazy. You know. But there's such a dark side to it. You know, it's to me, it's like it's the closest thing to evil that I know, because if you look at the jail system, you look how many people are in there because of crystal meth. If you look at murders that are motivated, especially domestic, with husbands, wife, girlfriends, whatever, I'm not saying all of it, but there's a massive percentage that is due to crystal meth. Psychosis, paranoid schizophrenia, manic depression, suicide. A lot of it's linked as well to crystal meth, because you start using something that it eats away at your brain as well, but it fills your natural pleasure receptors, your dopamine levels. So it's flushing that high, you're getting this amazing feeling, and then obviously you feel terrible afterwards. But then when you're sober and you wake up, you feel empty, So now...
And that's when you're on the down, right?
You're on the down, yeah. Now you want to feel like that again. You're struggling to feel normal, and you don't take pleasure in anything, That's the only thing you want, and then you start using it again and again. Eventually your tolerance builds up, and you start becoming crazy. You're doing crazy things,
So you are functional.
You're functional,
but you're doing crazy functional stuff.
You're doing, you'll do the same thing over and over. You think you're fixing something, or you start cleaning the house like all day, twice a day, 3 times. The same thing you wipe it again. You do these weird things. You think all of a sudden you're an electrician, so you start dismantling things. You paint things all black. Your cutlery. I've seen it's what happens after a prolonged use. Yeah. You become so it's insane.
Right.
And
were those some of the things that you did?
No, a friend of mine did that. Okay, I helped him paint like all his furniture black and stuff. Well, we didn't leave the house for 3 weeks. We stayed in the house for 3 weeks.
Paint the furniture black.
Everything black. The curtains black.
Jeez.
Everything in the house was black. The toaster, the microwave.
Why black?
Because the crystal meth, to me, it opens up a darker side. A lot of people, when they're coming off it and when they've been up for a while, they see the same things, and it's all dark. People always feel like it's evil, it's demons or it's something else. And I've also seen it myself. It's something that's actually fucking terrifying. You question your own sanity, which is scary, So once the prolonged crystal use you've been using now, you're up for 5-6 days, you sleep for 4 hours, and you're up again, 7-8 days awake, sleep for 5 hours, you're up. So eventually, you become darkness is all you see, because you don't see any happiness anymore. It's just nothing, And eventually, they say it takes 3 years for your brain to naturally produce the right levels of dopamine again after crystal meth. So people are always likely to relapse, to use other things to fulfill that. So it's, to me, it's one of the worst. I was also delivering drugs, dropping off drugs, working with prostitute working girls.
Sorry. Hang on, let's just backtrack.
Yeah.
Now you've taken the crystal meth with the chef.
Yeah.
And so that now starts on this crystal meth road.
Yeah.
Right. What's happening then?
Okay, so I use it. Then I'm still working bartending, but then I end up in Stellenbosch, and I was like, I'm gonna go check Stellenbosch out. And I got a friend there, Henry, who works. He's a photographer there, and sorry.
No, it's fine.
I end up staying with him, and then I get a job in a tattoo shop, as a shop assistant, like cleaning, polishing, helping customers, helping with their designs, etc. And my boss was quite a big crystal meth head. I didn't know that at the time, So I think subliminally, or subconsciously, I wanted to get away from Cape Town because I didn't want to do it anymore. I needed a break. But then, like, my first couple of days there was back on it, and then
it was back because you sort of saw your friend, your boss was on it. I mean, used it and you saw him, or was it back because you just had to have it? Your addiction just kicked in.
No, I wasn't actually craving it
Craving,
at all.
that's what I'm looking for.
But he's like, do you want a line? So I was like, my willpower was shot at that point. So I was like, okay. and then I started using that again. Eventually lost my job. You know.
Is that where you got your tattoos from? There? Or
No,
is that,
there's all different places.
Over time.
Yeah, over time,
okay,
different places.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Then I got fired from there, and then I went to go live with my mom in Somerset West.
Okay. Oh, so
Yeah.
she was down here.
She was in Somerset West. Yeah,
Okay.
she'd moved here like before they went back to Durban. So I was staying with my mom, and I got a job bartending, and I was doing extra work like film work. You know.
At this stage, does your mom know what's happening in your life?
No, because I was never honest about her with that. You know, every aspect I was honest with her, but not the drugs. You know,
And she can't. I mean,
she couldn't tell.
visually. I mean,
There must be a difference.
Yeah.
There is, but I don't know if my mom picked it up because she's a bit naive towards those things, you know. But also, I'd stay away from the house. I'd be out for a few days, you know. But it also wasn't a regular massive thing. It was like maybe once or twice a month I was doing it there. And also, I now got a girlfriend, so that was taking up a lot of my time, and I didn't want her to know, you know. So I was working between that, my girlfriend, and you know, dealing with all my shit. It was a full-time job. You know. Then when we broke up, I went straight back onto it hardcore. Like I was now.
Broke up with your girlfriend.
Yeah, no shit.
So when you were with her, you weren't taking any drugs.
No drugs, just drinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Why did you go back?
To the drugs.
Yeah.
Because it's what I knew, I guess. It's something I felt would always be there. You know, if I couldn't talk to anybody because people wouldn't understand, they would judge me. You know, I didn't have the courage to speak about my problems. You know, acknowledge them, and then still expect somebody to be like, "Yeah, here's a helping hand. Walk this road with me." You know, so I was also very angry against the world. You know, so yeah, I guess you know, I wanted help, but I didn't know how to get it. And I was not willing to go to shelters or to, you know, like the NPOs, NGOs, because
Why?
I think pride at the time, you know, I felt I was better than that, which, you know, was very wrong of me. But I felt that I could do this on my own. That I'm strong enough, you know. If I let something like this rule me, then what good am I, you know? But after that all happened, we broke up and that, I moved back to Cape Town into backpackers, which lasted a week. And then I robbed somebody for like 5,000 Rand.
In the backpack? Was it in the backpack?
In the backpackers, yeah, when I was fucked up one night. And then there was a warrant out for me, and I was on the run. And then I was on the run for about 2 months. And
Like where we like run as in leave Cape Town and
yeah, I was friends with a couple of two girls that I knew, and I was staying with them. And yeah, so I was just like, my mom was still helping out with food and stuff like that, but you know, for the drugs and stuff, because they were also on drugs, I was supplying most of the drugs. Yeah.
supplying the
Yeah,
girl.
so I could stay there. Yeah.
Okay, what do the ladies? What do they do?
They were also doing crystal.
Okay, okay.
But they were in the beginning stages of it. They hadn't taken effect on their appearance or their routine and their movements stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So they could still operate.
They were working and doing the.
Yeah, they were both students in hair school, hairstylist school. Yeah, beauty school.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So you're staying with them now on the run, and
On the
cops
run,
are looking for you.
Cops are looking for me. Yeah. So that was like, I was like, oh, I can't even go outside. And when I did, everybody was following me. My paranoia was so high, you know, so I wouldn't really want to go outside. Eventually, my mom called me, and she said no. She sat down with the owner of the backpackers, and he's going to withdraw the charges if pay back the money. So they paid the money back, the charges were dropped. Very, very lucky. And then from there, I went onto the street for my first time. Now I've hit the street. And oh boy, was I unprepared for that. There's a whole nother world, you know. It's quite hard to talk about, but now I'd kind of given up at this point. I was quite suicidal. I didn't care if I lived or died. I put myself in situations where, you know, something could happen. Like, you know, I'd walk on the edges of building or like bridges and cliffs and stupid. It's like I'd walk across the road with my eyes closed, like with cars speeding. You know, I would do stupid stuff like that. And
at this time again, are you on crystal meth or is
yeah, a little bit, not really. Like when I had money and stuff like that, because I wasn't like committing any crime at the moment. I was just wondering. And then you know, I'd met people on the street that, you know, kind of took me in, you know, and they showed me the ropes a little bit, you know, how to survive, what to do, what to not, you know, places to avoid. You know, there's a whole thing that you have to do. Like it's a constant, you know, you have to be alert, and you have to, you know, and it's constant moving. It's exhausting.
Like, tell me about it. Like what? Like
you know, it you know, I guess it strips you of your dignity, you know, because now staying a few days on the road, it shows. Your clothes are a little bit dirty. Even if you try, you smell a little bit. It shows on the wear and tear, you know, and then you know, it breaks you down a bit. Well, for me, it broke me down quite a bit, you know. And then I was like, nah, let me just try the NGO, and I got into a shelter. And then I started working with a social worker. They gave me, I think it was 30 days free until I had to start paying or find a job. So I was like, okay. Then there was, you know, a whole strict guidelines and rules there, you know, to follow. Otherwise, they kick you out. They don't give you warnings there. They were very hard hand, you know, heavy handed. Their discipline, you know, the rules didn't really make sense to me so much. You know, I understand that rules are there, you know, so there's order in the system, but they, you know, could be a lot different.
Like what type of rules?
I know, like there's a alarm or a bell that sounds for food, and you've got 2 minutes to get down to the dining hall and be seated for prayer. If you don't, then you don't get food, and they stand on that. They won't give you your food. So, you know, and you have to leave the shelter by like 7 in the morning and can come back at 4 o'clock. You know you've got no money, no traveling fare, so they get stuff from like Pick and Pay, Woolworths, all the extra food that they give out, and you know, you'd expect them to maybe give you like something for
the day.
For the day, yeah. They don't. Then you ask for it, and they are so rude to you. It's like, you know, you don't matter at all. You're literally just a ghost here, with no rights whatsoever. And breaks you down even more. Then you get people that are called hosts there, that are ex-addicts or ex-people from the street that now have responsibility and have keys, and they have the authority to lock you up, and they lock your doors at night. But they do it in a way that makes you feel like, you know, they are enjoying this power, and a little bit of like sadistic vibes going on there, you know, where they would do things like, you know, they would lock you early in your room when you didn't have to.
When you say lock, what do you mean?
They lock the door, the main door in your room.
So at night or after eating or whatever.
Yeah, you can watch TV, but then by like supposed to be 10 o'clock, they lock you away, and you come out at like 5:30. You know, there is like a back room, a porch where you can smoke and stuff, but it's like barbed wire and that. But you know,
But in your room, I'm assuming there's a bathroom and.
Yeah, there's bath showers in that.
Okay, in your room.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then maybe they wouldn't put hot water on. They wouldn't give us hot water for tea or coffee. And you're supposed to get like the leftover donuts and muffins at night, because I mean there's like 50 bags of them they get, you know, but they won't. They throw it away. You know, they make you go and throw it out themselves. But the day before you ask, you're hungry now, you know, because you get your set meals. But you know, there's so much food you could, you know, all the perishables are going to be going to rot, you know, and they're really giving you like sell-by date food, you know, which I'm grateful for. But you know, and all the good stuff they do when they do get like shoes, clothes, cakes, all the nice stuff. The people that are like that have been working there long, or the people that run the place have, you know, they're like under their wing. They park the bakkie at the back, and they offload it. Usually it's everyone that goes and offloads, or like a few people, and there's only one person. Then they take that to the main office and to deep freeze, and they lock it, and then we never see it again, including the clothes and the shoes. It's gone. So yeah.
Okay. Now I understand what you're saying.
And you know, there's the people that work there are very miserable as well. So they, you know, I didn't want to be there anymore.
Right.
So I ran away.
Okay.
And then I went on a big crystal meth binge, and I was friends with these two working girls, and her boyfriend, I was battling. I was having a bit of an episode, a breakdown, like hectic one.
Your anxiety.
Yeah. And I was like, I had a knife in my hand, and I wanted to die. I didn't care anymore. I'd given up, And he calmed me down, and then he said, "Come with me," and took me to the bedroom. And he got a piece of foil out, and on that foil he put a bit of powder on that foil, and he said, "Smoke it, hold it in as long as you can." So I did, and that was heroin, and that was it. That was the beginning of the end. And so I said, I like that. It brings me straight down. I don't have anxiety. I can go to sleep. I was like, now I've got a perfect combination. Now I can use crystal meth without having the negative side effects.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, amazing. So I started doing that every day, and then started doing crazy shit for it. Stealing shit that I would never think about stealing. When I'm not on drugs, I don't think about taking R1. When I'm on drugs, I need to support my drug habit, and I can't beg. I can't. My people, my family know that I'm using drugs, and they will refuse to support that, which I fully believe in, because you are only, being part of the problem, instead of the solution. So, and at this point I was still in denial. I said, I don't have a problem. I'm fine. I was selling a bit of drugs at the time with the girls. I was doing little bits and pieces. But now, like, the heroin started consuming me.
Mm-hmm.
I now formed a habit where if I don't smoke, I become sick.
Like, as in, how do you feel?
It's your whole body. Okay, first you get like nauseous, then your nose starts running uncontrollably. Your water just pours out. You get stomach cramps. You can't eat. That's the beginning stages. Then you have hot and cold flushes, but anything like I've never I don't know how to describe it. Then you start sweating. Then all your joints start burning. You feel like you're made of glass. Then you feel like you've got like sandpaper for skin. Everything you touch, you've got no taste, no smell. It feels like things are crawling in your skin. You have heart palpitations. You can't breathe properly sometimes. It comes and goes, and that lasts and you vomit. Then you have diarrhea as well. That lasts for about 7 days. That to me is still, I can handle that. It's what comes after the next that I can't handle. Then you can't sleep. Depending on your usage, anywhere from a month to 2 months. Your sleeping pattern is so bad. Only time you can sleep is maybe for about 10 minutes after you've eaten or taken a hot shower, and then you don't sleep at all, unless you take sleeping tablets or whatever. You can't sleep. It's.
So how do you survive in that?
That's why with heroin you make a way to get more. Because of the fear of that withdrawal is so bad that you'll go through the pain and that to stop it. But going to prison, you don't have a choice. So I feel like sometimes prison has saved my life. It's got me clean off the heroin, and I'm still clean.
So, okay, sorry. So now you mentioned that the heroin addiction got you to do things that you'd never ever do.
Yeah.
I'm assuming then one of those things landed you into prison.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It did, yeah. So I've been arrested for various things, but
in South Africa now.
In South Africa, yeah. But it's all drug related. It's all because of drugs. I've never committed a crime. Really, in the UK it was because of alcohol. Okay, Dubai I don't really count that because I was a stupid decision, but. It's either alcohol or drug. It's drug related. It's what it comes down to. At first I was shoplifting a lot. Committing fraud. I was robbing tourists in a way, but not like with knives or anger. Like I was doing it with manipulations. And then I would go into backpackers and stuff like that. I'd stay there the night, and then I'd go back later, and then I'd go and see whatever I could steal. Then I was manipulating my parents, my cousins, everybody. What I could do is get the drug. That's all you care about. You stop cleaning yourself. You stop eating. You stop caring. You have absolutely no. It takes your emotions away completely away. You don't care about anything at all, which is it's so scary because, you know, if you drive around the city or any like major cities in the world, you'll see it, you know. And somebody who's been on, you know, on heroin or whatever, you can tell them which is the heroin addicts and which is not, you know.
How can you tell?
You know, usually people, if they look at the homeless people, they can't differentiate. But you'll see a lot of some homeless people. They'll be standing there and they'll be like doing this, like nodding out, which, you know, people collecting cans to sell. These are usually heroin addicts.
Why cans?
For scrap, for recycling aluminium. Yeah. So they're the ones, usually people standing at the robots begging, are the ones that are on heroin. You know, anyone with major drug, crystal meth or drug addicts are the ones that will be begging outside shops, wherever. You know, the ones that are like forceful and, you know, aggressive, and they're the ones that are probably withdrawing. The ones that use their children to feel pity for them. Those ones, yeah. Alcohol doesn't do that to you.
Right.
You know, this is something that there's nothing that you wouldn't do. You know.
So you're saying that in that moment, let's say that lady who's using that child, she is on heroin at that moment, so she doesn't even realize what she's doing at that moment? Or is that
she realizes
that downer where it's going to be long nights of no sleeping, is that the fear, so that she'll do anything to do...
It's more the fear of being sick, because also once you are withdrawing, especially on your first, you cannot move. You can't get up to go to the toilet. So a lot of people will soil themselves.
Right.
You have no driving force. I mean, you can get up. There's no energy. It's such a horrible feeling. It's like your life force has been sucked out of you, and you don't care. You're like, it's all right. I'm quite happy here, and I'll die right here, and I'll be okay. And you accept that. You know, you're poisoning your body every day with a percentage of like 7% recover from heroin. You know, you're fighting against that. People already know. They're like, I'm not going to try, you know, because it's weird. It's crazy. But that lady, no, she knows, but she's scared of that of the withdrawal, the initial one, because now maybe she still has enough humanity and enough responsibility to know that her child must eat, or maybe she gives it to the grandparents when she's done with the child for the day. She's probably spun a story about she's going to take her out, whatever, and then. You know, but now she doesn't want to be responsible for the child at night. So, yeah.
Okay. And so you land up in so you said you've been in prison a couple of times because of the drugs.
Yeah.
Drugs. I don't want to get into all the prisons, but I think in terms of your last, because you mentioned that sometimes the best place for you was prison.
Yes.
I'm assuming that was also part of it was a rehab. You're trying to say it was like a drug rehab place.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Because every time that I've gone to prison, it's been at a point where I feel like this is it. I'm gonna die now. It's not gonna be long before I die. Not only have I given up spiritually, you know, in my heart, but physically it's starting to take a toll on me, you know. And I've always been pretty healthy and like a nice solid guy, you know, and like with a healthy appetite. I'm weighing 55 kgs now, you know. I'm looking terrible. I'm run down, and then I will do something where I know that I'm like, you know, I'm gonna go and do something stupid, commit a crime. I'm gonna go shoplift now. I'm gonna do something like that where I know the risk, you know. It's probably going to get me caught, but I'm still going to do it anyway. But if I get away with it, then that's a bonus as well. Now I can still use, you know, so that's in your mind. You know, you accept the fact that you might get caught and go to jail for it, you know. Where other people would be like, that's the most irrational thing I've ever heard in my life. You know, how can you be okay with going to jail? Now, you know, and for anybody who's not using, I would say, you know, that's, you know, of course, you know, that's logic, you know, it's common sense. But I've been arrested at that time. It's almost like divine intervention. I don't know, call it what you will, but at a point where I don't know if I would have been alive if I'd still been outside. Now, and my sentences have been quite long. Not 60 days, not 90 days. They've been like a couple of years, 6 months, 12 months, 12 months. And I've come out stronger every time. Weighing 90 kgs, I've worked. I'm feeling good. I've worked programs inside. I've tried to make change. And I'm feeling good, positive, but it's my family that aren't positive. They're scared. Now I've got no foundation to come out to, and I'm terrified, I've built myself up in here, but now what do I do when I come outside? There's no system in place for, there are, for reoffenders, if you're serving 25 years for murder and you get granted day parole, that's different because you're working directly with social workers that put you in places and jobs and whatnot and reintegrate you into society. With a common offender, someone who's drug-related and economic crimes like shoplifting and fraud and all that, there's no system in place for you. It's still working on the old apartheid regime. It's all paperwork. There's nothing. There's no computers. There's nothing digitalized there at all. You know what I mean? They still tally on a clipboard. It's crazy. It's there. It's the way that the environment is made there to break a person. It says correctional facilities, but it corrects nothing. It depends on you as a person, but we're working with like a regular person who has, looks at the environment and sees what it is, from the color of the walls to the smell to the sound to the food. It's enough to drive somebody insane, But you feel good when you get out, and now anxiety is hitting me hard because I don't want to go use. I want to go somewhere safe. I want to rebuild. Now, I don't want. I've seen myself dying on the street. It's not something I want. The good parts of me are, can consume me to being a whole good part. And I want to give back. I want to right the wrongs I've done. I want to change other people's lives. I want to do something worthwhile. I want to give back while I still can. And all these things in my head that I want to do, and I don't know how to put them down and put into action. And then I get outside and you're being released. All of a sudden you're in jail, and then you're on the street. It's a weird feeling. It's crazy. Now you got money in your pocket, but you got no direction. You've spoken to your people, they don't want you there. Or you can come past and get some food and some clothes.
Your people as in your family.
Yeah. Now I've spoken to social workers inside as well. Where can I go? And their only answer is, first of all, it's family. Second of all is you can go to a shelter. There are halfway houses, but their waiting list can be anything up to a year. There's very limited programs or things put in place for that, unless you can walk into a job, but still you need a cash flow so you can put a roof over your head. And a lot of shelters nowadays are based on you have to go and detox before you can get accepted in there, because they are basing that everybody is now using
assuming
drugs.
Everyone is drug addicts, right?
So you cannot get in straight away. I'm sorry. So now you're still on the street, and there's nothing more terrifying than being on the street and then still being sober and then having to deal with it. It's like the number one triggers for relapses, So a lot of ODs happen as well. So every time I've come out of prison, except for the last 2 times, I've relapsed and I've used, and it's exactly the same thing. It takes like 2 or 3 days, and you're back on. You're looking terrible again. You've lost the weight. You look like you have never left the street, and you're in the same routine. And drug addicts their routine is just so simple and so repetitive. It's the same thing every day.
What is that?
You wake up, scratch in bins, dig in bins, beg, try and get money for your fix, get a fix, go look for more food, but they follow the same path, like water buffalo or something. Like it's the same thing, and they go to the places where they know maybe a church gives out sandwiches here, or wherever they can, and then they sell everything that's being blessed upon them. They sell,
Also, they sell this. So if I give you, I'm not saying you, but I'm saying if I give you a shirt or shoes.
I can't say that. I can't generalize. That's wrong of me. I'm mostly talking about the heroin addicts. No, there are people that do need it and they will take it. It's just it's hard, so hard to tell which ones are not,
Sure.
But then you got to go on the basis of that this person's telling me the truth and that they need it.
That's
you,
it.
You know,
Yes.
and it's what your heart tells you. Yeah, I can't say that's wrong of me to say that, but yeah, it's you get so used to meeting a certain type of person as well on the street. People are very heartless, emotionless, very selfish. It's a survival thing, and they'll take whatever they want. They will rob the people that have got nothing.
Right.
So
Was that your experience? Like the first experience, first time that you were on the streets, was that your experience?
Yeah, it happened to me a couple of times before I became wiser and learned. Yeah.
How did you get wiser? In what ways did you become wiser and correct yourself? How did you do that?
Well, I made friends with the older guys, gangsters, in the number and in the actual gangs. People had been there a long time, and quiet people, and I'll meet them at soup kitchens, shelters, wherever, or at the drug dealers, and you do every now and again you get a gem in between. You get people that aren't too far gone that still have
Humanity
in there, and it's funny. You'll get people that share their absolute loss with you, their blanket with you, and they don't expect anything in return at all. They don't want. Whereas you've been conditioned to believe that there's nothing. It's not something for nothing. There's always a price on it.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. So I learned a lot from them to survive, and then I went on my own and I just survived by myself. And I felt that was the only way to be by myself.
And you mentioned early on that one of the tactics is constantly moving.
Yeah, constantly moving. That's right.
Right. What do you mean by that?
Never make a habit of follow your routine, doing the same thing over and going to the same places. There are a lot of eyes on the street. People take notice of this, and and especially people that look to rob and to do other things. There's a lot of evil on the street as well. A lot of people that like to do bad things to people.
To things to fellow homeless people.
Yes.
Okay, not necessarily bad. I mean, yes, there are bad people that want to do bad things to just normal citizens.
Yeah, there are also a type of people out there that prey on homeless people as well. And I'm not talking about homeless people in cars and stuff that do some things and
like
take
what?
away. They might entice them with money, food, a place to stay, get in the car. Maybe it might be sexual favors when it'll turn into something completely different. Where the person has now lost his, any kind of self-worth he has, and he'll do things for money. And then that now turns into complete. You won't come back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you get quite a few. There's quite a few sick people out there. I mean, I've been approached by a few people, and your senses inside of you. I listen to them. They can usually tell. This is a bad energy. This is a bad person. Don't.
Right.
And usually they'll come all nice. Which is But I've survived like that, and I haven't lost hope in myself. I felt I've still got something to give.
Sure.
I have a desire, a burn I want to be proud of something. I want to finish something. I want to look back and say, you know what, if I could help, is it one person? Or, if I start something, I want to finish it. I want my mom to be happy. I don't want to worry about her son. I want other people to look and be like, you know what, even though I'm stuck in the most hopeless situation at the moment, because I didn't think I was ever going to get out, and I'm still working my way out, but the hardest steps have been taken. It's now maintaining that. It's like tonight I'm going to go see my cousin for dinner, and I haven't been
lovely.
there. I haven't been there for a long time.
Lovely.
I get to see my baby cousin. He's
Nice.
only 4 years old. So that to me is a big thing. It's a door opening again. And I don't want to ruin that. I want that to keep going. And if somebody can use absolutely no hope at all, believe me, I shouldn't be alive, whether through suicide or drug overdose or whatever the case. I shouldn't. but I am. And that to me is you know, you come to a point in your life when you've had enough. You're so sick and tired of being tired, you know, sick and tired of having nothing. And yeah, you know, this yin and yang, light and dark.
Yes.
It's, you know, I truly believe if you don't believe in something, go to church. Believe in yourself.
Right.
Find something, a hobby, a passion, run with it. It's, you know, it doesn't matter what it is. Giving back to the community, volunteering. You know, keep yourself busy.
Keep yourself busy.
Yeah, and it's small goals. It's starting something and finishing it. And I believe that, like, you know, so you can see that I've done something. Okay, you know, to other people may not be big, but to you, it's, you know, it's productive. It's literally because you're not used to finishing anything. You're always negative, and people looking down on you, and you know, they look at you like you either don't exist, you're a ghost, or you're a piece of shit. To be honest with you, you know, and eventually that takes its toll on you. So the fringes of society are never going to get better with you know, preconceived judgments and ideas of how people are. You know, I definitely added to my choices in the path that I was down, you know, but, you know, it doesn't have to be the only road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, I never ever thought I would ever get out, you know. I still have my struggles every now and again, you know, with, you know, especially, like, mentally, you know. My dad passed away 2 years ago.
Okay.
And there was so much unsaid, unfinished. He never apologized to me, but I wanted to tell him I forgave him. I'm moving on. You know, I love you. You know, I'm still my father. And yeah, I never got to do that. So.
And I mean, in terms of social services here in South Africa, I mean, social workers and people that want psychologists and stuff like that. I mean, are there any government services that are available to?
Yeah, there are, in terms, like, I mean, that's what they say on paper, but if you go to social development town, they give you the runaround, they make you wait in queues for hours, then they tell you come back tomorrow, or go to this place, and then when you get there, they tell you go to this place, then they send you to the shelter, then the shelter must go, and then, or you must go to the day hospital and, you know, see the psychologist, but the psychologist can't really refer you to any, like, long treatment or halfway house, or, so it doesn't work, you know, and then people give up because they don't know what to do, you know.
What do you think? What do you think could work? Because there's a problem out there. Clearly,
there is,
and
a massive problem, you know. And there's the complaining about it. And then we look at COVID-19 with moving the people to Strandfontein,
right?
Up and coming, and people didn't have a choice. Law enforcement then would forcibly put them on a bus, and then move them there, and then barricade them in there, you know. They say for their own protection, but there's no social distancing in there at all. You know what I mean? It was just like a refugee camp.
Were you one of those guys?
No, I managed to avoid it.
Where were you? Where were you?
I was between Rondebosch, Mowbray, Observatory, and Cape Town. I was always on the move. Also, my cousins were helping me, so I'd go there every day.
Okay,
you know, they'd give me some food and a shower and some money in that.
Right.
So I was lucky in that point. But there were a few times when they tried to take me, and the army and all of that being there. But I managed to escape and run. Because to me, I just felt it didn't feel good. I didn't want to be like a sheep led to the lambs to slaughter, you know. And I knew I wouldn't have coped well in that environment, regardless of what they promised you. They promised you 3 meals and a hot shower, and I was like, is that all it takes? You know, is that our value? Is that what we're gonna sell ourselves for? You know, like, you know. And I mean, I'd be grateful for that, but I mean, at the same time, they were putting people there so they could control them. Then there wasn't that. There was no hot water. It was only 2 meals a day, and the portions were small. There was no medication. People were getting sick. You know, it was just on. And then they had that riot, and people tried to break out.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah,
okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned that you do some songwriting and play some instruments. And I think there's also from on your side when you mentioned things to do and hobbies and stuff like that, you know. I mean, and I don't know if these are out there where you could maybe get into a church and maybe play some music there for them and sort of try and get yourself.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking aloud, you know, because I mean that was you mentioned that one of your passions is drums, right?
Yeah.
And then songwriting.
Yeah. That's almost therapeutic to me, yeah.
And I think that one could be clever in terms of how you access some of those spaces.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the church is like low hanging fruit. You know,
that's a very good idea actually.
That you can. So that you're not idle.
That's it.
Right.
That's it. That's
I
the
think
number one
that's-
enemy.
yeah.
Is being idle and having no hope, and that losing faith in yourself. You know.
Yes.
Because
yes.
you can knock on so many doors, and if you're going to get no to everyone, you say, "What's the point?" But it's a numbers game. That next door might be the one that opens.
Yeah.
You never know.
100%.
And I'd say definitely reach out to churches.
You just keep trying, man. As long as whatever you're doing, it's positive.
That's
Reach
it.
out to church
That's
because
it.
someone at the church might know someone else.
That's it.
And then
Networking.
it becomes a multiplier effect.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
All it takes is that one person.
That's it.
And and people can't fault you for your productivity levels, and you try.
You try, just try.
That's
As long
it,
as
yeah.
you clean and
Exactly.
you maintain your
Yeah.
part of your end of the thing. You know, 'cause obviously
100%.
people got expectations.
Yeah.
But I just think that it becomes a multiplier effect.
Yeah,
you know, in
100%.
terms of just someone will know someone will know
I
someone.
would also say, like if it's available to you, those options available. Fitness is also a good thing. You know, running. I mean, it can also turn into an addiction. You know, like those bodybuilder like juice. But like, if it's whatever, a book club,
Yeah,
Pilates,
man.
yoga,
Yeah.
hiking club. You're gonna find yourself with good people. And find yourself you might run across the odd one or two that are going to judge you, but you take that with water of a duck's back, because at the end of the day they don't know what you've come through, and you're here on a positive note.
That's
and
right.
it's always going to be negative that's going to try and hit your positive.
100%, 100%.
And you got to be strong for that.
Yeah.
You got to smile and just be bulletproof, because the sun is going to rise and it's beautiful.
It is.
You know? You
It
have to.
is. It is.
Because if there's no hope, then
It's been a lovely chat.
it's been awesome. Thank you very much for having me here.
I mean, I'm sure when you woke up this morning, you didn't think
Didn't see this day going
this way.
No, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
No, but thanks for your honesty,
You're welcome.
your vulnerability. I'm really, I'm always left in awe when I've listened to my guest's story, because there's so many things that I personally, in you telling your story, where I think, ooh, that could have been me.
Yeah.
But I was
Yeah.
just fortunate enough that
Yeah.
my scales tipped the other side.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
No, you were
I
very
really
welcome.
do
And,
appreciate it.
I think also people must stay away from the whole pity party. Woe is me, you can't compare your struggle with other people's. It's not fair. Everybody deals with their own things differently, and people, it doesn't matter if you come from a wealthy family or poor family. That's a victim's mentality, and that's only gonna be negative at the end of the day. But yeah, thank you, man.
Thanks, Darren.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
That's it. How much is that?
2 hours, 9 minutes.
Ah, it's getting.